What is the difference between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code? The two look confusing, right? Alright, in this video I'll be explaining the little about two of them. I'll try to differentiate so as to clear what is going on different between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. My name is Adeleke Samuel. Now, I have seen people asking me several times, why are they the same thing? What is different between them? Now, the difference is this. Two of them is made by Microsoft. You see, when Microsoft was trying to play in the field of open source, they want a platform that any code can run on. Any code can, maybe you come with your script, JavaScript, Python, Rust. They want an environment in which everybody can play in. So they just put it together. They come up with an open source application, and that is Visual Studio Code. Now, knowing fully well that they have their own Visual Studio that they have been building over the year. Now, the two of them, they look alike, but one is bigger than one. So let me take it one by one. So I'm going to come in from the angle of Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is a lighter form. Like I said, it's an open source. You can easily go on, you can download it easily. Visual Studio Code can work on different platforms. It can work on Linux, it can work on Windows, it can work on Mac. So if you are that person that uses any of those operating systems, you are good to go with Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is very light to download. Just go need to download it, very easy. But there's something you need to know. Visual Studio Code is just a text editor. Even though it's a code editor, but it's only text editor. It does do a little thing. Now, part of it again is that it is file based. We have things listed in the file, and you try to arrange it, try to work. But when you use it for your development, it works wonderfully well. It works wonderfully well. Now, let me quickly talk about Visual Studio itself. Now, Visual Studio is a full IDE. Full IDE, what I mean by that is the integrated development environment. It is complete. It has so many inbuilt templates, tools, features. You can select different platforms you want to work with. Now, you use Visual Studio for designing applications that are complex, big application, big projects. You use Visual Studio to do that one. It has so many tools, so many inbuilt library, inbuilt classes. Now, what makes it different is that in Visual Studio Code, you have to be downloading extension. If you want it to do, you have to download the extension. But in Visual Studio, those things have been built along with it. We have so many class libraries, so many things that you download and to make your work okay. Now, I need to say this. The major difference between two of them, there are so many. But I need to let you know this. If you are the type that uses Mac and Windows operating system, you are good to go on Visual Studio. But Linux will not work. You can't use there's no version for Linux. But if you are the type that use Linux, that means you need to use Visual Studio Code to run your application. Now, if you are the type that does more of Windows application, maybe you want to do form application, you want to do web programming, you want to do some of those things, you are good to go on Visual Studio, because over there we have the design view, you have the test view. All those ones are possible on Visual Studio. But on Visual Studio Code, you can't have, there's nothing like the design view, test view. Those ones are not possible there. Now, there are so many other things that are so peculiar about them. But if you are just a beginner, you are just starting, you want to get your leg footed, you want to do something, maybe you want to start with Visual Studio Code. Because in Visual Studio, we have the free version, we have the paid version. The free version and the community version, that one is very free as it is. So many things you can do on it. The other version, the enterprise and the professional version, those ones are paid version. So comparing the free version, community version of Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, as a beginner, you can choose to use Visual Studio Code. But if you ask me, over the year, I've been a developer, I've been developing here and there, I've taken time to study them, but I prefer to use Visual Studio because there I have access to so many library classes and every other thing I can do. It makes life easy for me. So you just test it too, make your choice, see what you can do in it. but I know two of them, they are very good to good code editor. Well, see you again in the next video that we are going to be enlightening, talking about more questions that people ask, most of those things that bother us. We see you next. Thank you so much.